So I don't want to trip on your bag here. Um, when you think of high performance individuals, maybe you think of athletes. Does that kind of make sense? You think of athletes like, hey, he's a high performance athlete on that. And as some of you may or may not know, I've got a high performance son, 14-year-old son, and he plays professional soccer or football. And he's been practicing high performance individual activities since he was 5 years old. It's pretty much a part of his personality and his entire makeup. And he also hangs around other people who are high performance individuals, right? Because all of his people on there, all of his kids on the team, they want to stay on the team. They want another year contract. They all want to become professional soccer players when they eventually grow up. So they have certain traits and things that they do. I want to share with you, there's a lot of traits, but I want to share with you 6 traits that all high performance people have, whether you're athletes, an entrepreneur, or just you want to be the best that you possibly can. And these are traits that you didn't hear at a Tony Robbins event or anything like that. This is just stuff I've observed out here, so it's going to be new for you. But before we get into that, I want to go over on this end of it that there's the reason we have these events in different places. The last one was in Barcelona, and now we're in Bangkok, and probably the next one, because it's going to be the most out of reach. There's a couple of, who here, by show of hands, was at the last event? Oh, wow, there's a lot. Okay, so you guys are already, and gals are already getting kind of sensitized to this travel stuff. So we need to take it to another level. So how many people here have been to Tokyo, Japan? Oh, there's been a lot. Okay, maybe we can't do that. We'll see. But the thing is that place is like literally, it's like another planet that you've landed on. I mean, here it's still familiar surroundings, right? You see your Starbucks, and it's fairly familiar, but it's not. Anyways, we'll figure out the details of that later. But there's something, and there's a lot of science behind it, about traveling outside of your familiar surroundings. Not just going from one part of your country to another, but completely different environments. That would be the smell, the time zone, the food, the language, all that kind of stuff. It's been shown that it's going to take different aspects of your body and your brain. Your brain reacts to that. Your body knows it's in a different location, and therefore it does certain things to your body that makes you more receptive to learning, more receptive to opening up to things on that end of it, and it takes you outside of your comfort zone. It's a fire drill? There we go. No, okay. So it takes you outside of your comfort zone. When you're outside of your comfort zone, you're going to be more open to learning, because all growth and everything takes place outside of your comfort zone. You also bond closer to people as well. I mean, everyone here is nice, but if you notice, it's a little bit different than maybe a larger event or event where you're at Vegas or something like that. There's not quite that immediate bond. This is something that you're all going to share, that you all came to Bangkok and you have that experience together, and that's something that will help bond you together in the future. There's also some really interesting studies on the brain when you're introduced to something new, particularly new environments on that, and that is your dopamine goes skyrocket on the end of it, and that's the reward drug, right? That's the drug in your brain that gets you to do more things, and you're happier on that end of it. So I don't know if you've noticed that, but even if how many people are maybe a little bit tired, but at the same time you're wide alert? Yeah, that's the dopamine acting up in there. And so that's a good place to be in. And it just kind of makes sense, right? That your body would be designed to adapt to new environments, and you want to be alert on that end of it, to maybe alert to new possible mates. Have you ever noticed that when you travel somewhere different, whether you're male or female, that all of a sudden people just are better looking? It has to do with that right there. Okay, they're just better looking on that, although they may or may not be on that end of it. But we're designed to adapt on that end of it, and you're also more open and more alert on that. So that's why we have them in different locations. So, all right. So let's get into this about high performance people and this concept on here. So you want to be asking yourself, are you a high performance individual? What are you doing on here? And something that's really unique is that we're actually all connected in some way. And there's a lot of different levels you can look at. But this is a particular study that's gone on. It started about 50 years ago. It's an ongoing study. They've done it in many different parts of the U.S., and I don't know about other parts of the world on that end. But people who are obese, right? This is down to like science. They can track this stuff out. If your friends are obese, there's almost a 70% chance that you'll be obese. Okay? If your spouse is obese, it's about a 70% chance that your spouse will be obese. And you've probably seen that before, right? You've seen couples together. Every once in a while, it'll look kind of odd. There'll be a really heavy-set gentleman, then a woman, and you also see the reverse, right? So it doesn't happen all the time, but the majority of the time it happens. And what's kind of interesting on this is that you also have about a 20% chance of being obese if your friend who's thin has an obese friend that you've never met. So we're really all connected with that. Now they've gone on with this study and they've looked at other things and how we're connected. It's not just the obesity on that end of it, but it's also with happiness, right? So if your friends are happy and the people you hang around with are good-spirited, they take situations well and adversity well, then chances are that you're going to as well. If you hang around people who are unhappy, they like to complain about their life and stuff like this, then chances are that you're probably also going to do that as well. So there's all different types of levels out there of people, whether it's happiness, whether it's your weight, your health on that. Also, of course, the income, right? We've all heard that before, that you're a makeup of the 5 people that you hang around with. So if your 5 people make X amount, there's probably a chance that you will as well. That's absolutely the case, for sure. But it's on all levels of that. Back in the transformation days, back in 2008, 2009, when I joined the Bill Phillips transformation, and everybody was losing weight and transforming their lives and stuff like this, a common theme that would happen over and over again is that, particularly with couples, married couples, or couples have been together a long time, is that one would decide, hey, I want to shed this weight off. They would start doing activity to do that, and all of a sudden they would start losing weight. And it was almost like clockwork. There was like 5,000 or 6,000 people in the community. It's almost as accurate as 1 + 1 is going to equal 2. And that, what would happen is that the spouse that decided that they didn't want to change their life, they didn't want to lose the weight, when the other spouse started dropping weight, then it would make the heavier spouse happy or unhappy? What do you think? Happy? Unhappy. Yeah, we all know the answer, right? Unhappy. And the reason for that is many, but it basically makes the other person feel uncomfortable. It's like when they go out to eat, now one person wants to eat healthy and the other one doesn't. And the other one, the one that's eating healthy, you're like, yeah, go ahead, eat whatever you want, it's fine. But then that person doesn't feel comfortable. They can't enjoy their food, their normal fattening food or unhealthy food, if the other person is eating healthy. And so that actually ends up bringing a lot of turmoil in a relationship. And I've seen that firsthand, how the one spouse will pull the other one down. And sometimes it can actually break them apart. That also carries over not just in weight and stuff like this, but also with new ventures and new things that you want to do. Has anyone ever had the experience where you share what you're doing or you want to do? You're going to be starting this new business or whatever, and you're excited about it, so you expect other people to be excited about it, and they're not. They're like, are you crazy? That stuff doesn't work. Whatever. It's the same thing. It's pulling you down on here. And it's really, really important to make sure that you're hanging around the kind of people that are not pulling you down, that are pulling you up. Have you ever, maybe you've heard or can relate to this, of people who say, they see, the rich people, or however you want to classify them, and like, oh, rich people are just selfish. They're all about their own money and wealth and stuff like this, and they live in gated communities and stuff, and they think they're better than us. People kind of relate what I'm saying to? Is that, yeah. Maybe you even felt that yourself. I certainly have. I've been there before. But looking back now and from experience, the people that have helped me out the most have been the most wealthy, have literally opened up their homes, their hearts, their advice, and everything to help get me to the next level. And it's been my experience that they've been the most helpful. They're the ones that want to pull you up. The reason that they're maybe kind of standoffish in the beginning is because everyone in the beginning wants something from them, right? Like, hey, how did you do that? What are you doing? And it's like, okay, and they start helping people out, and then they realize that 95% of the people don't do anything but just end up wasting their time. Like, oh, that's really interesting, and this and this, and then they check back with them a couple of weeks later, a month later, and they've done nothing. And it's like, oh, geez, I'm busy. I just wasted my time. But when somebody comes to them and they're starting to act like a high-performance individual, and they've actually done some work, it's like, hey, I've lost 30 pounds, and I think I need to lose probably another 20. Can you help me out? I'd be happy to help you out. Or I've got my business to a certain level, and I'm bringing in $3,000 profit per month. I've been working really hard. I want to get it to the next level. Someone who's at that level or beyond that level, they'll be more than happy to help out, because everyone it feels good to help someone out, right? But it doesn't feel good when you help someone out and it's like you don't do anything with it. And that's why they can seem kind of standoffish. But you want to hang around other people who are higher performance people so that they pull you up instead of hanging around maybe your current crowd who doesn't want to see you do better for their own personal reasons, and they'll do things to pull you down on that end of it. Practice success. Practice success before you are successful. One of my mentors, and he's kind of famous for doing this, he turned $400 into $450 million, and then later billions. But one of the things that he did when he was younger is he would go out to the Rolls-Royce dealerships and he would just sit in the cars. So he was mentally practicing success before he was successful. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. And before I give some more examples on how you can practice success, I want to make sure that you don't confuse it with materialism. Because I really think money is just all about freedom. And one of the best things you can do with money is buy experiences. It's been shown over and over again that people who just buy material things and expensive handbags and all this kind of stuff, it goes away. But experiences don't. Experiences last a long time. And there are certain experiences that you can certainly purchase if you make more money and if you're freer. One I've talked about quite a bit is, if you can, it's just this is an experience. It's not a handbag. It's not something material that you can walk away with. But the option of flying first class versus coach, it's completely different experience on here on a lot of different levels. And whenever you can, I would highly, highly recommend that you do it. And the reason is many. Remember, we're all connected, right? Would you agree that people who sit in first or business class might be of a little bit different mindset, might be considered a high performance individual versus someone who sits in coach? Not all the time, but most of the time. Is that a fair statement on here? Would it also be a fair statement to say that the people that's sitting in coach class, even if they could afford business class, that they wouldn't do it because it's just, to them, it's like, I'm getting from point A to B, and even if I did pay the extra, all I could think about, I couldn't enjoy it, is that I just spent an extra $1,000 or $2,000. If they can't let go of that on that end of it, then it's going to be really hard for not everybody, but for the vast majority of people to kind of break free from that and move forward. Because you're always tied to money instead of the experience. The experience here and being around other people that are of that same class, that's contagious. Okay, that is truly contagious. When you fly business class, if you never have, or first class, you get fast tracked through the lanes, right? You go in there first, You get to sit at the lounge and relax. You can take a shower. I usually take a shower, bring my pajamas, do a little bit of work, with all the fine food you can possibly think of there that you can eat, alcohol if you drink alcohol, everything's there. You're the first ones to board on the plane. You don't have to wait in line. Once you get on the plane, you relax, put your seat back on this end of it, and when they serve you food, they serve food actually on a cloth, and it's actually really good food on that. And you can actually lay out and recline fully straight versus down here. It's a completely different experience. And then when you get off the plane, and my kids still haven't figured this out, they're like, Dad, why does our luggage always come off first off the belt? I don't know. We just get lucky, I guess. But we're the first ones. The kids just run right up to the belt where they see the luggage coming out, and they just wait. Is our luggage going to come off first? I don't know. Maybe not this time. And sure enough, it's going to come right out there. So you just get out and you leave, and you're more rested on that end of it. But you get to experience that, and it's really difficult to go from this. It's really hard to go back that. So now your brain starts thinking of solutions. It no longer becomes, well, I just wasted $1,000 or an extra 800 or whatever just to get from point A to B on that end of it. Now you start thinking of solutions of how can I start to live like this. It's just more comfortable. It's just a better way to go. And your brain will start to find solutions. And when you start to find solutions, you start to surround yourself with other people that are doing the same thing, right? So there's a lot to that. It's a great exercise, especially if you can barely afford it. I'm not suggesting for a minute that you put it on credit or you go broke to do it, but if you can enjoy that experience, definitely do it. Other things you can think about doing to practice success before you're actually successful, however you want to define that, is go out and visit homes that inspire you on here. Go out and take a look at homes. I mean, I've tried to pick out kind of a typical middle-class home, and then which one would you wake up more inspired every day, right? You come out here, you can have your coffee and all that kind of stuff and what's going on there. And here it's a little bit different feel on that. And there's no doubt that your environment, your physical environment, completely shapes you and puts you in a different kind of mood set on that end of it. And when I was growing up, my mother raised me, a single mother, and we were homeless from the time I was 9.5 to around almost 11. So we lived in and out of churches, shelters, on the streets or whatnot. And then the first place that we got, although to us it was really nice, I went back and visited that place. And it's still there, same neighborhood, nothing's changed about it. But it is 10 times worse than this. It's like in a ghetto type area. I could never go back to that now. And it's the same thing. You'll find ways, if you move from this to this, you're going to find ways. Or if you just practice it, you come visit this on here. Or if you have friends that are here, you're going to find ways to find solutions to be able to do that. Okay. Again, these are experiences on here. Don't mix us up with material things on the end of it. But a nice home, nice garden on here. This is why the Japanese really take care in their home and how they surround it, because it does change who you are on that. Okay. Surround yourself with those that are on the same mission as you. That would include everybody in this room, right? Everybody in this room is on the same mission or a very similar mission as you're on. Okay, so this is probably not the ideal group that you want to hang around with, The guys that have got the Budweiser t-shirt on, if they got any free time, then they're going to be watching the ball games, they're going to be drinking beer, they look forward to the weekends. Monday's a downer. On Fridays they bring out the coffee cup that says, "Thank God it's Friday," all that kind of stuff. That's all middle class thinking on that, where you've got weekends and free time off and you look forward to vacations. These people on here, if I can imagine the conversation, are either talking about the ball game or they're complaining about something at work, right? You're probably complaining about a boss or the hours or the weather or something like that. And if you're in that conversation and you're sitting there by the water cooler with that, naturally you want to participate on that. If you all of a sudden they're complaining about the new boss, or they had to switch the hours, they got to work extra hours during the holidays or something like that, and they're all complaining, and then you came up and said, well, actually I really enjoy working extra during the holidays because I get to make some extra money so that I can go out and add it to a business that I'm doing. There's going to be silence, right? Just like right there. They're not going to know how to react to that, and they're probably going to go, oh. So then they're going to go back to their own mode, which is business. What kind of business? And they're not asking because they're interested. They're asking because they're looking to poke holes in it, right? And those are the type of people that are going to bring you down. Does that make sense? I mean, you've got to be really careful who you're hanging around with versus, a very different conversation that could be going on there. So you want to make sure that the people you surround yourself look something like this, right? This group right here, they're not complaining about nothing. They're out there ready to take on whatever comes at them. And I can guarantee you, people move out of their way, right? And you might when you move out of their way, maybe you've experienced that where you've come across a group like this. Maybe you've been invited to an event. Maybe you've been invited to a really nice dinner at a really nice restaurant where you've got extra spoons and forks you don't know what to do with. And it's like they're serving like not just like one meal, but like 7 of them, and you don't understand what's going on here. And maybe you feel uncomfortable in that environment, and you're looking around at the other people and the way they hold and carry themselves, and you all of a sudden feel uncomfortable with that. Does that make sense? And you may want to step away from that and go, oh, that's just not my environment. Or, oh, those people they're different. I can't believe that they have 3 different forks and different size spoons and all this kind of stuff. But the thing is that you may actually push yourself away and come back to your comfort zone. You want to be very careful that you don't do that on here, because this might be a lot easier for you just to do this versus hanging around this group. Because this group they're going to eat you up alive if you're not participating, right, and you're not achieving. And that they're just going to just walk right on by. Perfectionism equals paralysis on here, right? It's just something I get caught up in all the time. But high performance individuals, athletes, they can't afford to do that on the field. They can't afford to do it on here. And there's things on here. There's certain things that people do, and I bet I still do it all the time. And it's just things like you might make goals, and your goals are kind of absolute. It's either, when you look at them, it's either I'm going to succeed or fail. It's a black and white issue. It's not I might fail 4 or 5 times, and I might kind of halfway succeed, and then that'll get me closer to something else, and then 6 months have passed by, but I'm still I haven't given it up, because it's not a black or white situation on that. Or you're constantly concerned about how other people will judge you. You might tell them that you're opening up a new business, but maybe you keep kind of quiet because you're worried about how they'll judge you on this end of it. So perfectionism, and we all have some of it on here, is probably one of the most hurtful things you can possibly do with yourself. And one thing that someone really helped me out with to help overcome this is it said something very simple, and it just said, it's none of your business what other people think of you. None of your business. That's really freeing. It just kind of lets you go. So, okay. And we all know you got to make a lot of mistakes before you hit a lot of successes. And no one wants to talk about their failures. They just want to talk, and other people just want to ask about the successes. I don't know. We all flew over here, right? Except for, I think, 1 person's from here, maybe 2 on that. We've all seen this, right? Put your oxygen mask on first before you help out others, right? I looked at this a little differently on the plane ride over here on that end of it. Step 1, you want to become very selfish on that. So, and I mean selfish to the point to where that plane's starting to go down, those bags pop down, you want to be elbowing out small children and elderly people to get your mask on first, okay? That's the way you want to look at this. You want to look at this as though uh, you want to push people out of the way who are putting you down or taking you outside of where you want to go. Or saying, oh, you don't need to lose that much weight. Just come on out with me. Or if you're a alcoholic, and I'm a recovered alcoholic, by the way, some of you may or may not know that. The first thing I had to do was what? Hang around more with my alcoholic friends? I had to get new friends. I mean, and the only friends that I had were drinking friends, right? Because when I was drinking, and I like to drink a lot, and if I hung around people who didn't, I felt uncomfortable around them, right? And then they would, and some of them would say, you don't need to drink so much, or, hey, you drank last night too. I'm like, I didn't want to hear that. That's uncomfortable, right? So you want to be selfish on that. So I had to be selfish, and I had to cut those people out of my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't survive. So you want to be selfish too with your own oxygen mask. You want to be your own oxygen mask. You want to be selfish with your time, everything. And sometimes it can be really hard decisions. One of my best friends from high school was one of my drinking buddies, and I had to cut him off. I had to cut him off, and it wasn't until I had to literally cut him off. He didn't understand it. He was so upset with me. He's like, well, "Why can't you just come over? You don't have to drink." I was like, "You don't understand. You're an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic. I cannot not say no. I'm not that strong yet." So you want to be selfish. It's really, really important. The reason is on here is because you really can't love yourself, love what you do, or love others, or be the best that you can be unless you're selfish first, right? You're no good. I mean, if that plane's going down and you're like, oh, you go ahead. I'm not going to be selfish. You go ahead and get your oxygen. You can't help anyone out, right? Pretty soon you're going to pass out. You have no more oxygen. Okay? It's the same thing with your life. When you look at your life as being a high performance individual, you gotta remember, you gotta put on your oxygen mask first. This is your time. You gotta cut people out who hang around the water cooler, who complain all the time. If these people are not your pack, they don't look like that pack of lion and lionesses. You gotta cut them out. Now sometimes they're friends and relatives from time. Then you gotta make that choice to reduce that time in there. But you make sure you put that oxygen mask on first on here, because otherwise you're no good to yourself or others. We need more high performance individuals in this world. They're always the ones that make the difference and the change. But the problem on here is that most people hate what they look at in the mirror, right? People look in the mirror, they say stuff like, shoulders are too narrow, my tummy's too big, I got too many wrinkles coming out of my face, teeth are not straight, or breasts are too small, whatever it is. I mean, whatever you think about, and we all have it, right? But if you're saying that stuff constantly to yourself, you don't really love yourself. You're not being selfish enough. No. On here. And look, you can only be helpful if you're the best that you can be first. And that's the whole story there with the oxygen mask at that end of it. So be selfish. It's really important for yourself. You'll end up, in the beginning, you'll get pushback. Guaranteed you'll get pushback from your friends and family, and sometimes even spouses on that. But you got to be selfish. You got to take care of yourself first so that you can live the life that you want to live, so that you can give back to others. Otherwise, you can't do it, right? It's just not going to happen. Alrighty, so let's recap here on this end of it. So you want to start thinking about different ways that you can be more creative and more productive with your environments. There's certain ways you can do this kind of stuff. I'm going to talk about some of my examples that I do this on here. Health, happiness, and wealth, they're contagious. Obesity, unhappiness, down on life owes me everything, that's contagious too on here. You want to practice your success before you're successful on that. Hanging around people, earbuds, and listening to podcasts, whatever you need to do to get to the next level there. Surround yourself with those with the same mission as you. Don't allow yourself to surround yourself with people that are going to bring you down, that don't understand your business. Look, I've got uncles, aunts, I've got friends, and everyone kind of reconnects on Facebook, right? So when I started reconnecting on Facebook, hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you since school, blah, 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 or, lost relative and stuff like this. It doesn't take them very long before I never hear from them again. Like, what happened? I love it. I'm now a threat to them, right? They remember the chubby, drinking, 40,000 year person, and now they can't relate. It's not that I never looked at them and went, hey, what are you doing with your life, man? Come on, you're looking chubby. I'd never say that. They did it all themselves, and they just walked right out. So they felt uncomfortable, right? You don't want to feel uncomfortable around that. You want to say, I want into that crowd. That's the high performance crowd, right? Take massive, imperfect action. This is the best way to get out of perfectionism. Probably the worst thing you could do for yourself on here. Be selfish. Just all the time be selfish. Just, hey, is this in my best interest to do this? Because once you start taking care of yourself and loving yourself, then you'll just radiate as a person, a human being that others want to emulate, be like, and you'll want to help others out. You'll just be the best that you can be. So I see people taking notes on here. If you have not opened this up, go ahead and open it up. Some of you have. We've included a notebook in there to take notes throughout this. And remember, this is a workshop on here. So you're going to learn some stuff and you're going to do some things. So right now we're going to do some things on here. And I really want to encourage you. We're going to do this really quickly. And I'm going to ask some people for some of their answers on here. But I really, really, for you to get the best out of this entire workshop and all the exercises and stuff we're going to be doing and learning on here, you want to participate in this. You're going to get exactly what you put into this on here. And this is something that you're going to create. Right now, it's just we're going to go through these on here. We're going to go through some examples. And this might be a good time because I'll randomly point people out. You want to remember that perfectionism doesn't exist on here, okay? So if you're not happy with your answers, you can always change them later right here. So on that, think of, and we do this really fast, so you don't want to write these out on this quickly. So quickly on here, think of some realistic ways, 3 ways that you could create a more creative environment on here. I've shared with you some of the studies out here. You're experiencing it right now, and I realize that realistically, you can't just wake up next week and then the week after and just start traveling every week, okay? That's not what I'm talking about. But there's certain things you can do in your environment to make it more creative. One of those, and I'll give you guys some ideas of stuff that I do when I'm not traveling, is I'll just make sure that I have a clean work environment. It's uncluttered, right? What you do in one area of your life, you do in all. So usually if you always work in a really cluttered desk and cluttered environment, probably your finances are cluttered, probably your thoughts are cluttered, probably your goals are cluttered, stuff like this. Just a clean work environment. When I was living in Arizona, in Gilbert, Arizona, I would work sometimes at home for a day or so, and then I'd get the area get kind of stale, so I'd go down to the Starbucks. But then I found out that the Starbucks in Gilbert is quite different than the Starbucks in Scottsdale. And for those who don't know the area, Scottsdale is kind of a higher end area, right? So I would every once in a while make a little John out there. If I needed to, I need to really get some work done, I'm feeling kind of stale, I would just drive out to Scottsdale, coffee shop, and just being around. Remember, it's contagious, okay? It is seriously contagious on here. Just being around an environment for a day makes a difference, makes a huge difference. When a lot of people, I've never shared this before, a lot of people don't know this, and I've never shared it. When I was in high school, one of my goals was that I wanted to become an emergency doctor. And so I got really good grades, studied really hard, and one of the things to get admitted into a better school is you you want to score really high in your SATs, right? And that's just like a standard test for people who are not from the States. And so I used to take the SAT study booklet, and guess where I would go study? Anybody want to take a guess? Where? Hospital. I would literally go to the emergency room and the waiting room, and I would just sit in there and I would just study. I would just study in that environment. Okay? It's a lot better than a school or a library, right? Because I'm in that environment and I get to see like people going in and out, and I'm like studying, and I'm like, yeah, someday I'm going to be doing this. Okay? Things didn't always turn out that way, but that's something you could do too. You could find an environment that inspires you on here, and you could work in that environment. When I'm primarily in Barcelona for most of the year, so I have a little workspace at home. I get bored of that corner of the house. Then another day I'll work on the other side of the house. I get a little bit stale there. Then I have some coffee shops. I have a co-working space. A lot of you who went to the Barcelona event, that's there. I'll spend a couple days there. I need to be inspired. I got to keep that environment going on that end of it. Alrighty, so just real quickly, what's an environment you're going to work in? What? Turn up early? Environment. We're going to come back to that. What kind of environment are you going to work in on here? What's an environment that, when you get back home, that you could work in?
Is to move house to a place where I have a dedicated workspace. At the moment, I work in the corner of the living room, so to move home so there's a dedicated room that's
dedicated workspace. What happens when that dedicated workspace gets kind of stale? It's been proven if you move around and you're around a different environment, you're not by yourself, you're more creative on that end of it.
I think I need to clean my office out.
Okay. So probably all need to clean our office out, right? Where's a different environment? Who came up with something like, aha, I got a different environment I could work in? Who's got something like that? Yeah.
So I'm looking for apartments right now, and probably gonna go with like a high floor luxury apartment with a nice view, or like an office view, or like a penthouse between that.
Nice. I like that. I like that. And when you get bored with that, when you get bored, because you will. There you go. There you go. Anybody else on here? Yes.
Maybe at the seaside.
At the seaside, absolutely. Outside. There's countless studies out there of just working outside changes everything. How many people here live in Singapore? There's a lot. Okay, so Singapore, you guys have like one of the biggest and largest indoor sanctuaries, right? It's got trees from all over the world and fruits and stuff. It's like the biggest in the world. It's like $1 billion. It took like $4 or $5 billion to make, which is a lot of zeros, right? Well, when they first made that, did you know that the plants started dying? And they couldn't figure out why. They're like, we just spent $2 billion on this thing. We got all the plants in here. They're healthy. We've got all the, the botanists or whatever you call them. We can't figure out why they're dying. The janitor there figured out by a suggestion why all the plants were dying. They were slowly dying. You know what it was? There wasn't any wind coming in there, so there wasn't any leaves to move them on here. So there's really something to being outside, and don't think that we're too much different than plants and stuff like this, that we need that breeze going in there. And also, you could probably walk barefoot, and you're going to also do a lot of health benefits there. We'll talk about that later. Alrighty, so let's go on to the next one. So when you're making your 3 lists on here of things you can do, probably everyone can clean up their environment, but think about other areas that would inspire you that are next to you that you could get into and work, whether it's a coffee shop or whatever. And that's really, really important. Yeah. And then out of those 3, just pick one. Make it easy. Let's not make a list of 20 things. It's just one thing. And then when you do it, then it will inspire you to add another on here. These little things, these are high performance things on here. Okay? Athletes would do the same thing. Athletes are going to make sure that they've got enough hydration, they got enough sleep on that they've got the proper place to train in. You need the proper place to train in as well. Alrighty. This one's a little more challenging on that in a bit. And you need to list 3 people on here. And if you can't think of anybody, maybe think a little bit harder. 3 people that you need to probably spend less time with or perhaps eliminate from your life. perhaps eliminate from your life that are not supporting the direction that you want to be in. And for some of you, quite honestly, I don't know if you've probably all experienced this before. You have a really good friend that you always hung out with all the time, and all of a sudden they met the love of their life, and now you never see them anymore, right? And I was like, darn it, just lost a good friend. And then because you're in the outside, you look at them and you can tell their relationship is like not healthy, but they're so entrenched in it and it's happened kind of slowly that they can't see it. And you go out to, you don't see them all the time you used to, but maybe once a month or something, you go out with them and you're trying to be nice about it. You're like, hey, come on, dude, she's not the best for you. This is like you're miserable. Like, you're not productive anymore. You look tired all the time. And those unexplained bruises on your cheek, stuff like this. And like, no, man, I just fell down the stairs. I'm cool. They don't see it, right? But I guarantee if you had a friend like that in that exact same situation, and they were from Iowa and now they're here, just take a couple days and they would see the same thing you did. So there's something about stepping outside of your environment, which you all are right now, and you can reflect back at your unhealthy people and relationships that you're with, and you can see them more clearly rather than being stuck inside. So now's a really good time to really ask yourself honestly, are there people here, sometimes they can be, you see the relationships with children and parents, and sometimes, oh, geez, I got to go see my parents again. And it's usually that, oh, geez, I got to see my parents again, is because usually the parents are just griping all the time, right? That may be something you can eliminate them, but you may want to reduce that down. And then at the same time while you're there, you want to be selfish with your time and your conversations and what you're going to allow them to say to you on that. But you can't spend a whole lot of time doing that. And realistically, you can't remove everyone from your life, but you certainly can do that. I've already shared with my addictions. I had to eliminate my other friends who were addicted. There's no way that I could go on that of it. So anybody in your life to reduce?
Yeah, my father. Yeah, well, I mean, it's just so negative. I mean, I think I've got to reduce what I actually speak about in terms of Kalzu and things like that, because he's like, no, don't risk anything. No, just be cautious. Be cautious. Don't do anything. Just keep your job. Don't do anything. And he kind of just, it's so wearing. And so I think I've got to stop speaking to him about that and just talk about other things with him when I'm with him, because I can't not be with him, and then actually there's a Kalzu member who I've kind of clicked with, but then whenever I speak to him, it's like, oh man, it's not good. It's water cooler stuff, and it's like, I said to him, I'm thinking of getting a private label, he's like, oh man, I was like, 15 grand on that, I've lost everything. It doesn't work, don't do it. And I was like, hey, you're in this Kalzu thing and everything he says is negative. And I was like, I think I'm just going to draw back from him somewhat.
Thanks for sharing. That was great. So yeah, I mean, it's really, you have to be hypersensitive to this kind of stuff. And because if you're just around it normally, it just may seem like a normal thing. But you want to cut those kind of individuals out there. Did I see a hand raised over there? Okay, good. We'll get to you in just a second.
I was just thinking it's more the selfish and self-absorbed people around you. So that's what I find draining. So it's not an individual. It's just people who basically the whole life revolves around them and they don't give a hoot. Every conversation, I don't know if everyone else sees it, every conversation is them. And when you're wanting to say something, they go, oh, that's good, but blah, 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 back to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like when you maybe experience this on the way over here. Sometimes you share more with a perfect stranger on the train or plane than you do your own spouse, only because they listened. Just because they listened, and then you walked away and it's like, you don't even remember their name, but you just felt like you just made a lifelong friend.
My coworkers in management. I got a lot of crap for taking a week off to come over here. And I'm like, I was planning on getting myself in position so I could leave the job by the end of the year. They don't even know I'm taking vacation and going to Cabo in May, so I might even be fired before then. So
that's a tough one, right? If you work in an environment and you're spending 40, 50 hours a week there, you got to be really protective of your time and your people that you spend around with. Anybody else want to share? Okay, that's cool. Let's go move on to the next one on here. Now, when you're going through this, I would list out 3, but I just focus on one. Just make it easy. Just really hyper focus on one on that. Practice success before you are successful. This one's kind of fun, right? You kind of imagine, like, what are 3 ways I could do this? Let me give you some other examples that you may not have thought of that doesn't have to do with, tickets and all that kind of stuff. Just little things. Get a massage. Be like, here it's going to be like, well, be kind of careful here, right? Read the reviews. If it says it's family friendly, it's good. If it doesn't, surprises will happen on that. Could be good or bad. I don't know. If that's the kind of pack you want to hang around with, that's up to you on here. But 3 ways. So massage would be one. That's kind of something that somebody with a lot of money might do. So just only wherever you are in other parts of the world, maybe $60, $70 or $100 for a really good one and stuff. So massage might be one. Another one might be, if you don't have one, maybe hire a maid for 1 day out of the week, and you can feel what it feels like for you not to clean and someone else to. And then you can kind of imagine, man, this would be great if I could afford this 7 days a week. Or maybe have someone come over and spend 3 or 4 hours and they prepare your food for the next 4 or 5 days. And then it's like, wow, this is what it'd be like if someone else cooked my food and cleaned my house, right? And then I got massages. So there's a lot of different things you could do besides, if not going out to the car dealership and smelling new cars is your thing, or houses or whatever. But the experiences, that's all an experience on that end of it. So what you got for an experience?
Good shoes. Buying a really good pair of shoes. I mean, because it's like, that's what you're walking around, you feel comfortable. It's like a good pair of shoes.
I like that. That's an experience, right? That is definitely an experience on that.
I definitely want to go looking at nicer houses. Just different, inspirational.
I bet your other half probably wouldn't want to go, right? She's not into that. She's going to pull you down. She's like, no, we're staying right here. What are you doing with those new houses? What are you doing? Who else has got one that they want to share? Yeah. Just speak up. So not
Yeah, what I like to do is you go to a racetrack, and instead of just sitting in the car, you rent one and you go and do 10 laps on the track with a GD3 or a Hurricane or whatever. You know what it feels like to drive it, and once you've done that one time, you feel like
that's a keeper right there. That's a good one. I like that. Now that's probably one your other half probably won't want to do. Seriously on that. But yeah, that's good. That's an experience, right? And you get to feel what it's to have a high performance car on that of it. Anyone else got one they want to share? More.
Well, I'll just treat myself to spas every week. Yep.
There you go. Like spas, that's good. Speak up. Yeah. I like that. That's good. It's good. Just pick one. Just pick one. Write out 3, but just pick and do one. Actually do it on here. Okay, surround yourself with those with the same mission as you. Now, there's going to be some people in this room you can do that, and I would encourage you to form your own little accountability groups and stuff like that with people that you connect with on that. Distance yourself from other people, and there are going to be those everywhere that are not, you don't want in your pack. Sometimes it's hard to find people like this. Sometimes you can think of it as like a catch-22. It's kind of like, well, I don't have the qualifications, and I don't feel comfortable around those kind of pack of people. You got to earn your way up as you're earning your way up. And as you earn your way up and you're showing the effort, people that are on that are up there, they want to pull you up. They're really everyone. They want to pull you up. They just want to see you putting some effort into it. That's all on the end of it. So, and as you're doing that, you can always hang around people through your earbuds, right? Wherever you go on podcasts, you can always find some good podcasts to listen to, inspiring people on that end of it. So there's an endless amount of really good podcasts. Just find one that you like. You got downtime, whatever you're doing, you can listen to it. Reading, I'm not a huge reader, but I love the audio books. Audio books are great. You can get them on the move. You can surround yourself for whatever, $10 for a book, you can surround yourself with some of the most amazing minds in the world, and they put in their 2 years of work into this work as a lifetime. So you can easily start to surround yourself on here. One thing that you could do on here, and this is something I just thought of, inspired by everyone here, is I used to, when we first moved to Barcelona, I didn't really know my way around, and so I just got the nearest health club next to me. And it was a nice health club. It had all the proper facilities and everything, but there was just little things I didn't like about it. One of them is that when you go to take a shower, that you got to press a button and then the timer goes off. And then there was always a delay, like a 10-second delay when you go to press it again. This is just really annoying. I understand they're trying to save water. I'll gladly pay a few extra bucks a month if I don't have to pay water so I can just enjoy my shower. And there's a whole lot of things, like the towels were really thin, and I just bring my own in there. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't need to do this. And so I moved up to more of a kind of a country club. Now, country clubs can be really expensive, but you're around that environment, and it's an experience, and you're around other people that are more high-performance people. You may want to get a day pass at a really nice health club, just spend the whole day there. Go there, have lunch, because all of them have really healthy foods. You could go there and do that. You can work out and go to the sauna. You could get a massage there. You could experience the whole feel there and be around a whole different group of people and mindsets. And remember, this stuff is contagious on that. It's very contagious on that end of it. So, or depend.
Yeah, I was thinking to have like a small get-together of European CalZone members in between the events.
Yeah, I mean we've been connecting already, and I think Skype and video conferencing and the Google Hangouts, the multi-way real-time communication, I think is really valuable instead of the separation between emails and the lag time.
Anyone else got something that they want to share? No? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Diggy. Diggy's on a roll.
Yeah, I can relate to this kind of stuff, just like you. So a very easy way to do it is on Facebook. Is you just block everyone who's negative, and you just follow anyone who's making 6, 7, 8 figures with inspirational in your industry. Very easy to do, and then all you see every day when you log in is just
It's a great idea. You got any more? You're good. You're really good at this. And it's no surprise, because I don't know how many of you have met Diggy back here, but he'll be guest speaking tomorrow. You'll learn more about him. He's a digital nomad. He's been traveling around for the last 5 or 6 years or whatever on the end of it. So you can kind of tell he has these good ideas because he can already relate to it really easily, right? So, okay. So we're going to start wrapping this up on here. Massive imperfect action on here. I think this is the last one on this. And we want to list 3 perfectionist traits that you have that you need to eliminate, and how by eliminating these traits is going to allow you to take more massive imperfect action. In other words, when you're thinking about doing something, there's just little things. It's like if you procrastinate, that's usually a sign, not always, but it's usually a sign that you're a perfectionist, or you're leaning somewhere towards a perfectionist. You don't want to do it because it probably won't be that good, so I'll put it off to the last minute on the end of it. Then how could I eliminate that trait on that end of it? When I start to procrastinate, that means I need to do the work now. And whenever you do that, you always feel better anyways, right? And if you're procrastinating, it's really, really heavy on you on that. If you set yourself setting goals and they're always kind of black and white, and whatever you do is black and white, it's either you view it as successful or unsuccessful, a success or failure, then that's definitely a sign. So then something you want to eliminate something like that, you'd want to understand that, look, you need a lot more failures, and every time you fail, that's actually part of the whole success. It's never just success. That doesn't happen. It's impossible on that end of it. So you want to write those 3 out, become clear about those, what those are, how you do them, and then more importantly, how you can start to eliminate these, and then just select one that you can take away today, and you can catch yourself and become really hyper aware of it. till it becomes a habit and a trait to you. Last one on here, on this end of it, is be selfish. Be a selfish individual with your time, your thoughts, your energy. If other people are draining you of oxygen, if they're trying to take off your oxygen mask, you wanna drop kick them right away out of your life. Okay. This is like a non-negotiable on here. Be very selfish. It just means you love yourself. And the more you love yourself, the more you care about yourself, the more that you honor your time, your resources, and you have a higher demand of the people that you want to hang around with, the more of a high-producing individual you're going to become, and you're going to become a better individual in the future, and you're going to add more to this thing we call life and others out there. You're going to have the ability to change more on that end of it. So the be selfish part on this end of it. So we all have things we could be more selfish on, right? We all have things where we say stuff like, man, I probably should have said no, but I didn't on that end of it. So is there one you'd like to share with us? More selfish? Like yourself more?
Yeah, spend time more about myself. Being selfish about myself, like spend time on myself.
Like more time in the mirror looking at yourself?
No, like
Just be more specific, like what? Which would be okay to look in the mirror and say, man, I'm freaking hot. That's a lot better than looking at yourself going, man, I could really lose this, or I'm getting old.
like earn more money. Yeah.
Is what you like on the end of it? What you got?
I usually take a couple of hours in the morning for a morning ritual, and then I feel real guilty for taking so much time to do the morning routine. But I like indulging in it, so I'm going to do that.
Good. I think that's a good one. Take more time for yourself, whether that could be in the morning, afternoon, or whenever on that end of it.
Yeah. Probably to be able to say no more often when I'm asked to do some stuff. Yeah, because sometimes you feel guilty and do things which you don't want to do for others. Yep.
Definitely. Thank you all for sharing that. Alrighty, so that's the recap on that end of it there. Again, you're only going to get out of this what you put into it. So I would encourage you to. It's just 6 things. Just pick one out of each one. Put it in your notebook. Look at it. Read it. You want to become a high performance individual. You don't want to fall back into hanging around the same old people, same old thought patterns, all that kind of stuff. Change is not going to take place if you keep following that. So let's take we're running a tight schedule here. I'm already running behind. So let's take a very quick, just 5-minute break, only if you really need to go to the bathroom or stretch around. It's going to be a hard 5 minutes, and we're going to come right back here. So thank you. What I would do personally, and what some of our other coaches do, he's got so much stuff going on the back end that's going to be rolling out. It's going to be really quite phenomenal. But he's a high-performance individual, so you don't expect anything less of him. Another thing that he's going to be doing, all these things like, how many of you went to his own private event that he wanted to put together in Vegas? All right, so he went out to Vegas on that of it, and this is just something he's already busy enough, and he's constantly thinking, how can I help out? How can I help out? How can I get more performance out of other people? Because he's a high-performance person. You went out there, and what? Just share a little bit about what happened when you were out there.
Yeah. I begged William to let me go, and promised him I'd have all this stuff done before I got there. But a couple of things. One was voice drops. I didn't know anything about it. Had never used it. The number of calls and leads that got generated was crazy. But the other thing was he went through exactly how to close a client, and so I stumbled through it and found out that it was not nearly as hard to close as I thought it was. And so now that I've got that muscle memory of how to do it and the dialogue to have and the selling points, I mean, I got to dial in the fulfillment piece now, but I'm super confident in adding clients.
So she went out there. She stumbled through it, which we have it on tape. She did, but she got a client just like that, and it was easy or hard.
It's easy.
It was like really easy, and over 50 leads just coming in right away on the end of it. So that's the kind of stuff. I mean, people get results. He really wants everyone here, generally inside, he wants to see you get results, and it shows in his actions and everything that he does. So please pay attention to what he has to say here. It's no different here. He wants you to see action. He wants you to see your success. He wants you to take your game, your level up to another space where it needs to be. So give it up for William Mears.